And it's Wednesday, everyone. It is that day. You know what it is. We know what it is. It's Trekyards Mission Briefing. The day we look at any ship in the grand scheme of the Trek universe, multiverse, really. Because it could be canon, fan canon, side canon, game canon, book canon, comic canon, or just not canon. It could be something we just found right there and thought, hey, that is worth a discussion.
Right. Hi, I'm Captain Foley. Welcome to Trekyards Mission Briefing. Today we're going to be looking at, ta-da, the JR-Prise. Just like the JJ-Prise, only better. This is this was a ship I recently found online. Done
Breaking news then, Stuart.
Yeah, done in 2018 by Jeremy Ray, who's got a DeviantArt page where he's got a bunch of pictures of this thing. And I gotta say, I saw this first image of it from the side, and I was blown away. I had to go look at more. So we got quite a few, and we're going to take a look at this great reimagining of a TOS Constitution class.
It's my first time having any sort of real look at it. So do you want to give me your first impression, or do you want me to go by mine?
Well, my first impression was I was blown away. I thought, if I would have seen this in 2009 movie, would I have complained about the struts facing forward? I don't know, because I really like that. But I think this is a little bit better reimagining of an Enterprise than the JJ-Prise. But it's so close, it's the JR-Prise.
This, for me, and I just realised it as you were saying, this is the 2001 of Enterprises. Again, very sleek, very white, very simple shapes, very put together. I instantly think of that universe visually as if it's not trying to be just clean Connie, it's trying to be its own thing. It's not trying to be JJ, it's not trying to be Aztec-y refit, it's trying to be, and it even has that, obviously it's 3D, but it has that sort of plastic feeling, which some of those miniatures have miniature feel.
Well, it's got a very retro feel. It feels very much like Matt Wiley's 1960, or his concept Enterprise that we've already covered. And I don't have an issue with that, to be perfectly honest. It's a nice take on classic Star Trek aesthetics and just refining it a little bit.
Well, quite a bit. I mean, every single shape is different. All of them. It's a completely different animal. This wouldn't be a iteration, a reinvention, or anything. This is a completely...
And yet, it invokes more of that TOS spark in your brain than, say, the JJ-Prise at first glance.
Yes. Well, it's more 60s. It's more super future 60s, maybe 70s, I guess.
Yeah.
I bet Jeffries would like this design.
I think that's probably fair to say. Yes.
Yeah.
But well, let's move on to the next picture, I guess.
Okay.
Here we see, and different angles speak different volumes for any ship. Here we've got a lot of lights on the upper saucer section, very reminiscent of the Enterprise D, how it's got like the upper windows, I guess you'd call them. And I kind of like that. The inner chiller grills for the warp engines don't really face each other directly. They're more of a kind of a angled upwards. Again, beautiful. Those forward-facing struts look great from this angle. They're not too far forward-facing that they really take away from the ship. I don't know. I love this thing, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll talk about the shot bay in a bit, but the chiller grills are interesting. I haven't seen that before, having both elements be lit and life, but I like it's the whole realm of the nacelle. The nacelles now feel longer, thinner. Oh, I don't know. It's more. It feels more science fiction now, rather than it was trying to be science fact, but the future. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, absolutely it does.
Okay, that's what I'm going to say about this picture, because I want to see more angles, because I'm seeing this for the first time, so...
Yeah. Well, if we go to the next picture, just more of a classic shot of the Enterprise.
That's shiny. Jesus.
Yeah. I do like the integration of the deflector dish, very JJ-esque, but also a hint of Enterprise E there with the shapes and the colors. And it's still got the spike, which is fine. Yeah, it looks like it has some registry lighting, or maybe that's windows. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell on this angle, actually. But even the pointier nacelles, like the way they're shaped, like almost like Christmas bulbs, and even with the addition of the spikes, it still works for me. And this has very much that Matt Wiley version vibe to it, because that's basically the same angle that his main shot of it is. So thin saucer though.
Yeah, those windows probably don't make as much sense as they could do. They're slit windows, and they're very weirdly placed on the edge. But the deflector I dig completely. That's a very good mid-refit phase 2 style. Integrate it and yet lit. Cool. Nice touch. The facades I'm not quite sold on. They again feel very rocket shippy, feel very... That's not what would happen. It doesn't link to anything beyond the obvious visuals of it's cage / more pointy. But it doesn't work in of itself for me personally.
Yeah, that's one of the parts of the ship that I think feels very 1950s inspired.
Yeah.
Older retro science fiction look. Yeah. And it doesn't really bother me as much. But
it's an aesthetic. This isn't a design for Trek. It's a re-aestheticized. You know what I mean? Therefore, it works in its own bubble because it's trying to be its own bubble. You know, normally we deal with ships that are meant to fit into the universe and designed around some things. This is its own thing, and so taking these shapes, this ship, and doing a new thing with it, that's really exciting. It's like, oh, this is a whole new breath of life for this design. You know?
Yeah. Well, I just love that it's got that initial TOS vibe. I mean, just at first glance, you're like, it's TOS Enterprise. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Much more so than the JR-Prise, which is interesting. The next shot, I think, solves a few of the problems. The saucer isn't quite as thin as we thought from that last picture. It's just angled much sharper, which is fine. Again, it looks very flying saucer-esque. A lot more lights on the bottom, and visible photon torpedo launchers, refit style, which is cool.
The fact they're so small implies a larger ship as well.
Could do. I'm not sure of the actual. I think. Oh yeah, we do have stats on it. Hold on, they're coming up. I
dig the RTS thrusters be so well integrated, although again the sleekness of the saucer rim doesn't quite work for me.
It's a little too razor thin, eh?
It doesn't feel like a good angle for a spaceship because it's like, look at the window. You have to do this. And you touch the wall, like, oh yeah, You know, it should be a very functional angle, but it should be flat. That makes more sense, really.
Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, it's aesthetically interesting. He's obviously balanced the shapes. Yeah.
Well, speaking of balancing the shapes, if you go to the next thing, he went through a lot of scaling issues with this thing to make it correct. Comparing it to the original Constitution blueprints, and if you zoom in and actually look at his size chart there, it is slightly bigger than the TOS Enterprise.
Which I pointed out.
Yes.
Wide-wise. Cool.
Yeah, 443 meters long.
Ooh.
25 decks. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So very, very thought process put into this, which is really cool. It's good to see that. And I'm sure we'll cut out the little size chart for them.
I like saying the bridge dome on the JR-Prise is entirely observation instrument, so it's not actually a dome with a window.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah, that means it's a pretty chunkier, bigger ship. A pretty heavily bigger ship. But way more Disco-Prise ship size. 'Cause that's about 430, 450.
Yeah. Which, he's comparing the size of the windows and the decks to a person there, and runs into a problem with the scale of the original Enterprise. And that's kind of been an ongoing thing that a lot of people have had issues with. So I understand the upscaling. I guess the TOS Enterprise is a little small when you really break down the numbers, but
maybe we should at some point, because we can do the exact same math.
Yeah, well, there you go. So I love the thought that was put into this one. It wasn't just thrown together like willy-nilly. There's actually a thought process put into designing this, and I love that. So, And we go to the next one. We got the schematics, or the orthos for it. 443 meters. Yep. 25 decks, approximately 162,425 metric tons. Crew of 205 to 500. Warp 14.1, absolute maximum. That's old scale. So
yes,
it's fine.
So what do you think of that top view, now with the struts pointed forward?
That's the one area it falls down a little bit for me. From the side, it's a totally different animal with them facing forward. It looks fine. But the top kind of loses it a little bit for me there. Their swept back look would look much better, but from the side, you got to admit that swept forward look holds more true to the TOS aesthetic of the straight struts.
Also, is carefully cut out angles all kind of integrate together. At the top view, you lose all the pointy angles, all of them. You now only have the smooth angles, and now suddenly that doesn't connect properly.
Yeah.
It has a much more, very similar to the Ambassador prototype, Andrew Probert design from the top. Feels way similar for some reason. The side view has its own, feels like its own beast. The front view, super normal. You can't tell. The front and the back view looks like the JR-Prise with the impulse engines and such.
Yeah, not a fan of those, to be honest. I like smaller impulse engines. Although the BC decks are bigger, they're wider, so there would be more volume in there, which is kind of neat. Yeah, I really like this design. The forward-facing struts are a little bit, for me, and plus that shuttle bay at the back from the top seems very small.
Well, the whole way
the ship's upsized a little bit.
The whole way it angles in doesn't quite feel. It's like you're wasting space, guys.
Yeah.
You know, I know the original coin is just kind of a tube, but you get bonus space for just having a tube. Feels like excess because now every single wall is going to be. Every room has less and less space. And also, I don't like the neck. The neck doesn't look right with the rest of these shapes.
I really like the neck from the side. I love the way it attaches to the top part of the saucer and kind of goes down from there instead of having that. I really like that, to be honest.
Yeah, it stands out the most to me as a thing. Everything else kind of integrates. That's like a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
One thing I would change, though, like I just said, is that from the top, make that shuttle bay wider. There's no need to go so pointy with that. I think beefing up that secondary hull from the top would really even help with the look of the struts. It seems too skinny back there. There's something visually not right.
And it does connect with the skinnier nacelles, but that's probably also part of the problem. It loses something. It doesn't necessarily. The side view does feel fast standing still. The top view doesn't feel fast standing still.
No.
The tapering loses something. But again, you aren't designing these ships from every angle. You sort of can't. You know?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the tough things about designing a ship, to be honest. Is visualizing it in 3D. So. So the next shot, again from the back. Very shiny and nice. There's those. You can see those larger impulse engines, and as well as the rear of the nacelle caps are the rings with the glowing elements, which we've seen numerous times, even from a classic Constitution class look. When people do a model of it or whatever, they light those, and that's fine. I think that's a great addition. It's got a delta on the shuttlecraft door.
Yeah, I buy that. I do dig the big glowy inner grills, the way it sort of overpowers it, but it feels very energized. I kind of like that.
And here, those forward swept nacelles don't even feel forward swept because of the angle that it's on, and it looks great.
Just feels integrated to perfection.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good angle. It feels a lot more. This angle feels a lot more like the Gagarin class that Mario did.
Yes. Yeah.
Just the way the shapes are all a bit different, but still very familiar. Yeah. Yeah.
I see what you mean. Next shot is just kind of more of the classic shot. The other one was more from an upward angle. This is more lower, so you get to see the lower planetary dome, and you get to see that angle on that saucer a bit more. And it does seem like a waste of space. It should almost be pushed out a little bit at the bottom. just because fitting stuff in something that's shaped like that, you're cutting out a lot of room. But then again, you could use that room for power conduits or water or whatever.
I mean, you can just have the windows not really be windows, just be like view screen elements or, refractal cubes that go into the hull, and you look out of this. I mean, you don't in a aircraft. They're not actually a single plate of window. It's a So these presumably wouldn't then be literally a plane of, transparent steel. You would have a transparent aluminum. You could have it be further back.
Yeah, transparent steel is Star Wars.
Sorry, yes, transparent aluminum.
I need to smack you. Yeah, transparent aluminum.
But the deflector looks, again, that's probably one of the standout elements in terms of clever redesign, I think.
Yeah.
And the gold is interesting because why go the blue? The blue is a modernistic / retroistic element with the NX and thing, but we know the Sierra uses the bronzy, so yeah, make it gold to link to the Sovereign. I mean, it works, actually. It's very... you wouldn't notice it unless you point it out, really. And that's actually kind of works to the coin design.
Yeah, gold and yellow. I mean, we saw yellow on the Enterprise E, and it kind of took me out of it because I don't think it should be yellow. I always said that the Enterprise E deflector would be better as blue. But you get that yellow look, and it harkens back almost to the gold sensor dish of TOS. But here it works beautifully. So, good job, man. Plus, it could go blue for different scanning frequencies and stuff.
The TMP refit one was meant to go different colours, and it did for the first movie. Purple, black, and blue, and different shades of blue. And
yellow, and
yeah.
And that's fine. Next shot. Here you get a good shot of that shuttle bay. And I know it's bigger than the TOS Enterprise a little bit, so I guess that might work. Mm-hmm. But again, I think there's some refinement of that rear shape could be done. Well, it has that the grills kind of face up on the engine. Sorry.
It adds something very different. And it'd be interesting if, again, not sure how it works, but if the other grills were flat, the new Ford ones, if they were the line of sight and the bottom was the something else, you could justify as that. But the shuttle bay is very much like the Enterprise A concept from Sean Hargraves. I can see inspirations being pulled directly from that, how that shape all comes together. I kept thinking that the way that's pulled. Although that back bit is all a landing. Is that a landing bay or is that a door? Because it's so the same colour as the hull.
I think it's the landing deck, and there's a small little door just by that red light.
Okay, it means the Delta is not on the door, it's on the landing deck.
I guess, which makes the other picture not make sense, because the angle we were on, we were kind of underneath the ship.
Yes.
So it could be that those are doors, but from this angle, it looks like it's a flat landing area with a smaller door. And that actually works better for me, to be honest, because having the door be those with the Delta, they would be big, weird shaped doors.
It's a door. I'm back. It's a very, very long door that's like forward.
Okay. Well,
big ass door.
That's wrong.
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay, well, there you go. Also, the ring for the impulse engine. It's a nice tie-in to the refit look, but not being full refit look because it's not all blue. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, I just see Tron.
Tron disc.
I just it's too neon sign, whereas the refit specifically, here's a module.
Yeah.
Tech inside the module is a recessed bit which has a little dome thing, which is glass. It's got a thing. It's very technologically based. It's just neon, baby. It's just that's my vibe. But yeah, it's a retro feel, so it works.
Yeah, I really like that ring. Actually, I like the ring, but I hate the impulse engines. I wish they were smaller, but what are you gonna do? Next shot is of it in a nebula, and again, you got some nice bright lighting. Here you can see that bulbous shape of the secondary hull. It's got kind of a weird vibe going into the bottom of the neck. It's not as flat as you think it should be. And it looks like it has an arboretum at the bottom, an arboretum window.
Always need one. Always need one.
But I like it. I think it's cool. So... no issues with this angle. I like the forward struts as well.
Yeah.
And this next one is very reminiscent of Matt Wiley's concept Enterprise, just from the angle. And just the shininess, the sleekness. This is a nice, almost photorealistic look. You got reflections on the nacelles. And the deflector dish here looks more solid. Doesn't look like it's lit up like the other one. So this is kind of very beautiful, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's more in low power state. All the glows are less and such. Yeah. If you look down to the torpedo launcher, there's circles like phase 2. Cool, great. I do like how they're recessed. It's really interesting. But obviously they've got the visual cue of, okay, red bits insinuating torpedoes. If you look at the bridge module, there's a bit on one side of it which also has the red pinstriping next to it. So I'm guessing that could be a forward launcher as well. There's lots of excess space in that ABC deck, so maybe a launcher as well.
It's funny you said that because I was thinking the same thing right before you said it. And it is recessed, but it is more of an oval shaped. So it doesn't match the photon torpedo launchers at the bottom.
Different torpedo style.
Could be probe launchers. Or phasers, phaser emitters. Because I don't see any phaser ball turrets on this thing anywhere.
True.
Upper phasers or something.
Yeah. I just want to point it out. We've got all this excess space there now.
Mm-hmm. And if you... Also, the tie-in of the refit style gray around the BC deck looks cool. And then the red pinstriping everywhere. Like if you zoom in, there's red pinstriping on the nacelles, on the struts. And that's a nice, subtle little touch that I think really makes these things pop. So I really like this ship. That's my...
Yeah, I guess we're closing there. Yeah, it's a great retro future past hybrid new old
concept.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work in Trek canon, but we never once thought it could, and that's fine. It's a great sort of... You could see like a 3-episode animated series about this, the adventures of Rick and Morty style. The Enterprise in 1701 in Universe 16B. Here is the ship. Like, oh, that's cool. 3 episodes done. Cool. Next universe. This would be a great... It's pretty. It's mostly proportioned. A few little things, but again, if you're seeing it in motion, not often you see an orthographic top or orthographic side. You see it in motion. Yeah. So those angles are, it's like the JR-Prise. It looks really good in motion. Doesn't quite work when you hold it or when you see it in all the angles, but in motion it looks really good. So it's not everything can be perfect. Yeah.
No, I'd agree with all of that. I mean, this as a reimagined Enterprise, this in the JJ film I would have been happy with. I mean, I might have complained about those struts. I don't know how my mindset would have been, because the forward struts from certain angles do look kind of odd, but mostly they're very elegant looking. Even from the side, they kind of have that. They capture that feel of the original. So I really like this. I thought I'd bring it to you guys. I already posted on the Trekyards page and got a lot of comments about it, and thought, well, you know what, we need to film some mission briefings. Let's get this thing out and let's do it. And I'm glad we could add this to our list of Enterprise concepts that we've looked at, because there've been a lot of them.
And I could have sworn we'd already looked at this one, but we hadn't.
No, and if we have, then my apologies, but I don't think we have. I
just thought we did.
Because this is a newer one, I think, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, cool. So Jeremy Ray, look him up on DeviantArt. Look up some of these photos. They're absolutely gorgeous. And this first shot that we started on with the Constitution class and the red planet background is beautiful. This is like from the opening sequence of it, orbit.
Animated shit series. It feels like an animated thingamabobby.
So anyways, let us know what you guys think of this concept. Is it one of your favorites? Would it have been fine in the JJ movie? Put it in the comments down below. We love reading them. And as always, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, check us out on social media. All the links, all the relative links are down in the description below. And we look forward to seeing you and having more conversations in the future.
Of course, support us on Patreon, monthly donation service, one-time donation at Trekyards.com, or join our YouTube lives every week, Wednesday and Sunday. We talk about lots of great things, comics discovery, but also it's breaking news and other things. So join us for a live if you want to be part of this group conversation with the fans, the Trek community, or at least the YouTube Trek community. Join in if you want and chat to us.
Yeah, every little bit helps, guys. So until next time, I'm Captain Foley.
And I am Connor Coggins.
See you later.
Bye, guys.